Welcome to ComfortTV.channel news, bringing you verified and balanced news from Nigeria and around the world. I am Faith Kevin. Thank you for joining us again this afternoon. In the headlines, ASUU issues 14-day ultimatum to federal government, threatens strike over unmet demands. Court stops Pat Utomi from forming shadow government. African leaders, partners unite behind homegrown strategies to end malaria. Nigeria's environmental crisis demands transparency. President Tinubu praised over food price directive. Nigerian man nabbed in India for scamming woman. Police arrest guard over alleged child abduction in Lagos. On business, Nigeria-China trade hits $15.48 billion in H125. NNPCL monthly profit rises 91% to 539 billion naira. On the foreign scene, UK plans tougher rules for migrants seeking to stay in country. Denmark closes airspace to civilian drones amid rise in sightings. And on sports, Rooney says he has no faith Amorim can revive Man United. Qatar confirmed as FIFA Intercontinental Cup 2025 final phase host. Now the news. The Academic Staff Union of Universities ASUU has issued a 14-day ultimatum to the federal government to address lingering issues affecting the nation's universities or face imminent strike action. The union, in a statement issued at the end of its National Executive Council NEC meeting held at the University of Abuja on Sunday, September 28, 2025, decried what it described as the government's consistent neglect of public universities and the welfare of academic staff. As the president, Professor Christopher Piwuna, who signed the statement, recalled that the union had in August staged rallies across federal and state universities to draw attention to the plight of the system, but lamented that the efforts yielded no meaningful response from the government. According to him, if the federal government fails to act within the ultimatum, ASUU will first embark on a 2-week warning strike, after which it may proceed on a total and indefinite shutdown of universities nationwide. The union listed its demands to include renegotiation of the 2009 ASUU federal government agreement, sustainable funding of universities, revitalization of public universities, and an end to the victimization of its members at LASU, Prince Abubakar Audu University, and Futo. Others are payment of outstanding 25 to 35% salary arrears, resolution of delayed promotion arrears spanning over 4 years, and settlement of outstanding third-party deduction. The Federal High Court in Abuja on Monday barred Professor Pat Utomi from establishing a shadow government in the country, describing the move as unconstitutional and void. Justice James Omotosho, in a statement, upheld the arguments of the Department of State Services (DSS) that Utomi's action portends danger to the peace and security of Nigeria. Justice Omotosho said he had pursued the country's constitution and there was no part that supports the formation of a shadow or parallel government, citing Section 1, Subsection 1 and 2 of the 1999 Constitution. The judge said the Constitution is supreme and binding on all citizens, irrespective of political divide. The judge also affirmed the jurisdictional power of the courts to entertain the matter. Justice Omotosho had on July 10 fixed Monday, 29 September 2025 for the judgment in the DSS suit against Professor Utomi, a professor of political economy and managerial expert. The judge fixed the date after DSS counsel Akinlolu Kehinde Sand, Utomi's lawyer, Chief Michael Zekomisana, and the 7 invited Amisi Kurie friends of the court made their submissions for and against the suit. Africa's richest man and foremost philanthropist, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, has renewed calls for greater private sector participation in sustainable domestic funding in the continent's battle against malaria, describing the disease as not only a public health emergency, but also a severe economic drain that continues to undermine productivity across the region. Speaking virtually at the Big Push Against Malaria Summit held in Abuja, Alhaji Dangote stressed that malaria though preventable, treatable, and ultimately eradicable, still poses a formidable threat that can only be defeated through collective resolve and strategic investment. He urged African governments, development partners, and the private sector to intensify funding for malaria control and elimination efforts, emphasizing that sustained financing, local ownership, and collaborative approaches are critical to freeing the continent from the disease's devastating grip. The Global Fund, represented by Cameroon's delegation, reaffirmed its unwavering support for Nigeria's malaria response, revealing that over $2 billion has already been invested in combating the disease, with an additional $500 million earmarked for the period between 2024 and 2026. These funds, the delegation explained, are targeted at scaling up vector control programs, preventive therapies for children, and deploying technology-driven solutions to enhance surveillance and coverage. Similarly, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, through its Nigerian representative, Uche Anowo, called for renewed political momentum. Recalling Bill Gates' long-standing advocacy, Anowo reiterated the possibility of consigning malaria to history just as smallpox was eradicated. Nigeria's Minister of State for Health, Dr. Isiaq Adekunle Salako, cautioned that Africa remains significantly off course in meeting the 2030 malaria elimination targets. He highlighted the growing challenges posed by insecticide resistance, humanitarian emergencies, climate change, and inadequate funding, urging stakeholders to rally behind a renewed big push against malaria. Echoing similar concerns, Honorable Linda Oga, chair of the House of Representatives Committee on AIDS, Tuberculosis and Malaria, lamented what she described as a vicious cycle of endless dialogues with limited tangible outcomes. She advocated the creation of a multi-disease agency that would address malaria, HIV, and tuberculosis simultaneously, proposing innovative funding streams such as levies on tobacco, alcohol, telecom services, and a dedicated share of consolidated revenue. The World Malaria Report 2024 paints a sobering picture. Nigeria accounts for 26.6% of global malaria cases and 31% of deaths, the highest in the world. The African continent as a whole contributes 94% of global infections and 95% of deaths, with children under 5 remaining the most vulnerable group. While Nigeria has achieved a 55% reduction in malaria-related deaths in 2000, experts at the summit warned that without significant boost in financing, political will, and homegrown solutions, the continent risks falling short of the 2030 elimination target. Media Rights Agenda (MRA) has called on the federal and state governments to strengthen citizens' access to environmental information, warning that Nigerians' weak response to climate and ecological challenges was costing lives, livelihoods, and billions of naira in damages. The appeal comes on Monday, September 29, as the Lagos-based watchdog launched a report, Access to Environmental Information and the Cost of Ignorance in Nigeria, to mark this year's International Day for Universal Access to Information. The report, according to a statement by the organization's communication officer, Idowu Adewale, details the mounting toll of deforestation, flooding, desertification, oil pollution, plastic waste, and worsening air and water quality, describing them as threats to ecosystems, public health, and national stability. The statement noted that the country already had constitutional guarantees, statutory provisions, and international commitments that could support transparency and accountability, adding that the public institutions had, however, remained reluctant to disclose data. The MRA's program officer, Ayomide Eweje, said that the national response framework critically depends on citizens having the right to access timely and reliable environmental information, since without it they would not be able to participate effectively in environmental governance or protect their rights. She further noted that ensuring such access was not merely about legal compliance, but also about empowering people to safeguard their health, livelihoods, and environments, to hold duty bearers accountable, and to help build a future in which development will not undermine sustainability. The group also highlighted key threats including deforestation, desertification, recurrent flooding, oil pollution in the Niger Delta, rising plastic waste, and worsening air and water quality. It argued that public access to data on these issues was not a luxury but a necessity for protecting health, livelihoods, and national stability. The executive director of the Transparency Advocacy for Development Initiative, Yomi Davids, says President Bola Tinubu's directive to crush food prices reflects the welfareism thrust of his renewed hope agenda. Mr. David, in a statement on Monday, said the intervention was a major step towards ensuring food security in the country. He added that the president's commitment was a strong demonstration of responsive and compassionate leadership. He noted that agricultural reforms, rural infrastructure, and support for smallholders had remained priority areas under the Renewed Hope agenda. According to him, the move reaffirmed the President Tinubu's administration's commitment to inclusive growth, sustainable development, and the preservation of human capital. He urged the president to prioritize and fully activate the mandate of the National Center for Agricultural Mechanization. Lauren said it was vital for scaling up production, reducing post-harvest losses, and ensuring long-term sustainability. Delhi police has arrested a 29-year-old Nigerian man accused of scamming more than 100 women across India by posing as a UK-based Korean businessman on a language exchange application. According to Hindustan Times, the suspect, identified as Stefan but operating online under the aliases of Dominic and Doc Young, was apprehended on Monday, September 29, from a rented apartment in Tilak Nagar, West Delhi. The case is part of a broader trend of cyber-enabled romance scams where fraudsters exploit social and dating platforms to deceive and financially exploit victims, often by pretending to be someone they're not. The police traced him through call records, bank accounts, and social media, eventually recovering a mobile phone loaded with fake profiles and chats involving over 100 women. During interrogation, he confessed he had entered India in 2019 on a 6-month tourist visa using an Iberian passport by bypass restrictions Nigerians faced at the time. After overstaying illegally and running out of money, he turned to cyber fraud. Online romance and impersonation scams have seen a sharp rise globally, particularly in countries like India, where the rapid adoption of digital platforms has outpaced public awareness of cyber fraud. Operatives of the Lagos State Police Command have apprehended a security guard identified as Amos Kinney in connection with the abduction of a 2-year-old boy in Elemoro area of Lagos. According to the Lagos Police Command, the incident occurred on September 21 when the toddler's mother returned home to discover that both her son and the house guard were missing. The visibly distressed women immediately raised alarm in the neighborhood before proceeding to lodge a formal complaint at the Elemoro Police Division at about 11:50 p.m. that same night. In her report to the police, the mother alleged that the guard not only absconded with the young child but also fled with a mobile phone belonging to the family. Hours later, the suspect, using the stolen phone, allegedly reached out to the child's father, demanding a ransom of 5 million naira for the safe release of the boy. The development sent shockwaves across the community as residents expressed concern over the rising cases of domestic aids turning against their employers. Confirming the incident, the Lagos State Police Command Public Relations Officer SP Abimbola Adebisi explained that police operatives wasted no time in swinging into action once the complaint was filed. The PPRO further assured the public that the child was safely rescued and reunited with his family. He also emphasized that the police remain committed to protecting lives and property, adding that the suspect will be charged to court after the conclusion of investigations. Meanwhile, community members have expressed relief at the swift response of the police, while also calling on families to exercise greater caution in the recruitment and supervision of domestic workers. Many residents noted that cases like these underscore the importance of proper background checks and vigilance. Comfort TV, the channel news, returns shortly with business, foreign, and sports news. Many thanks for staying tuned. This is Comfort TV, the channel's news on business. The volume of trade between Nigeria and China increased by 34.7% to $15.48 billion between January and July 2025 H125 compared to the same period in 2024 H124. China Consul General in Lagos, Yan Yuqing, disclosed this during a reception to mark China's 76th founding anniversary, Nigeria's 64th independence anniversary, and the Mid-Autumn Festival. The Consul General revealed that Nigeria is now China's second largest trading partner in Africa and attributed the growth in trade to the upgrade of bilateral relations to the Comprehensive Strategic Partnership during the 2024 Forum on China-Africa Cooperation Summit. She emphasized that cooperation in areas such as infrastructure, energy resources, trade, culture, and education has been expanding, delivering tangible benefits to both nations. The envoy noted that despite global economic challenges, China's economy remained resilient with a 5.3% GDP growth in H125 and continued global leadership in innovation. She praised the Chinese community in Nigeria for their contribution to cultural exchange, development, and charity, urging them to act as bridge builders to further strengthen ties. Consul General Yuqing also pledged that the consulate in Lagos will keep protecting the welfare of Chinese nationals and businesses in Nigeria while ensuring efficient services. She called on the Chinese community to uphold unity, lawful business practices, and play an active role in fostering China-Nigeria cooperation, which she described as being at its best stage in history with promising prospects ahead. Still on business, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPCL) has reported a 91.3% increase in its monthly profit to 539 billion naira in August 2025, up from 185 billion naira recorded in July. According to its monthly report summary for August 2025, the company's revenue rose to 4.655 trillion naira compared to 4.406 trillion naira in July. It added that a total of 8.86 trillion naira has been remitted to the Federation account between January and July 2025. On production, the report showed that Nigeria pumped an average of 1.65 million barrels of crude oil per day in August, representing a 2.9% decline from 1.7 million barrels per day in July. Gas output also fell by 10%. NNPCL attributed the decline to scheduled maintenance across some upstream facilities in alignment with Nigeria's LNG's turnaround maintenance. It has said the industry-wide collaboration was ongoing to ramp up production after the exercise. Providing updates on gas infrastructure projects, the company disclosed that the Ajaokuta-Kaduna-Kano gas pipeline had reached 84% completion, with constructive activities progressing on multiple fronts to accelerate delivery. It also announced that the Obiafu-Obikrom-Oben gas pipeline was 96% complete. It stated that so far 113 kilometers of the pipeline have been commissioned. On the foreign scene, migrants seeking to settle in the UK will have to have a job, not claim benefits, and undertake community work under plans to be unveiled by the Interior Minister. Currently, those with family in Britain and who have lived there for 5 years qualify for indefinite leave to remain permanent residents, as do those who have lived legally in the UK for 10 years on any types of visa. Eligible applicants meeting those thresholds also earn the right to live, work, and study in the UK and to apply for benefits and British citizenship. But in a major policy shift, Interior Minister Shabana Mahmood announced that migrants will have to make social security contributions, claim no benefits, have a clean criminal record, and volunteer in their community in order to stay. Minister Mahmood will outline the plans at the annual conference of the ruling Labour Party, and the government will consult on the changes later this year, according to a press release from the party. The announcement comes shortly after the opposition Hard Right Reform Party, which is currently leading in national polls, said it would get rid of indefinite leave to remain altogether, with migrants instead required to reapply for visas every 5 years. This would apply to the hundreds of thousands of people who have already attained leave to remain. Prime Minister Keir Starmer on Sunday called reforms planned racist, adding it would tear the country apart. Denmark will ban all civilian drones beginning over safety concerns as Copenhagen prepares to host an EU summit on European defense. Transport Minister Thomas Danielsen announced the airspace closure after a slew of incidents involving unidentified drones in recent weeks. The closure will be in effect from Monday to Friday. He said that the drones have created disruption and uncertainty in the country, particularly among the military and the police. He said the closure of airspace to civilian drones use will allow law enforcement to focus on security for EU meetings Thursday and Friday. The European Council is meeting informally Thursday to address general defense in Europe as well as the body's support for Ukraine and its war with Russia. A more formal summit of the European political community is expected to take place Friday. On sports, Wayne Rooney says Manchester United have lost their soul and he has no faith in the ability of beleaguered manager Ruben Amorim to turn things around. Amorim has taken 34 points from his 33 Premier League games in charge following Saturday's 3-1 loss at Brentford and is yet to oversee consecutive top-flight wins. United endured their worst league campaign for 51 years last season, finishing an embarrassing 15th in the Premier League. They spent freely in the summer transfer window, bringing in Matthias Cunha, Brian Mbeumo and Benjamin Sesko, but are languishing in the 14th spot in the table after their latest defeat. Wayne Rooney, United's all-time leading goal scorer and who won 5 Premier League titles and Champions League with United, said he did not recognize the club anymore and does not go to games expecting the team to lose. The former United and England captain said the culture of the club, which dominated English football for 2 decades under Alex Ferguson, has gone. Still on sports, Qatar has been confirmed as the host of the final 3 matches, M3 to M5 of this year's FIFA Intercontinental Cup, the elite annual global club competition which gives the champions of all 6 confederations the chance to compete on the world stage. The final phase, comprising 3 games, will take place in Qatar in December, marking the culmination of the tournament. March 3, officially named the FIFA Derby of the America, is scheduled for Wednesday, 10 December. This clash will feature Mexican club Cruz Azul, winners of the CONCACAF Champions Cup 2025 and the eventual CONMEBOL Libertadores 2025 champions, which are due to be confirmed on 29 November 2025. And that's our news bulletin for today, but before we go, here is a recap of our top stories. ASUU issues 14-day ultimatum to federal government, threatens strike over unmet demands. Court stops part autonomy from forming shadow government. African leaders, partners unite behind homegrown strategies to end malaria. Nigeria's environmental crisis demands transparency, MRA says in a report. President Tinubu praised over food price directive. Nigerian man nabbed in India for scamming women. Police arrest guard over alleged child abduction in Lagos. On business, Nigeria-China trade hits $15.48 billion. UK plans tougher rules for migrants seeking to stay in the country. And on sports, Qatar confirmed as FIFA Intercontinental Cup 2025 final phase host. Thanks for watching. For breaking news, exclusive interviews and more, follow us online at ComfortTV.channel across all platforms. Remember to like, share our videos, subscribe to our channel and click on the notification bell so you don't miss out on any updates. I am Faith Kevin. Until next time, stay informed, stay connected.